Hello, everybody. A very warm welcome to PSTV Live. I am Sapna Mahadevan, your host for this evening, and we are back again with another episode of the stand up comedy vertical. Yes, you heard me right. We are going to learn a new subtopic in stand up comedy, and this one is called Improv Comedy. So let's explore what all different subtopics stand up comedy has, and let's all together learn, maybe through way of examples and through way of some expert tips and tricks, how we can be performing in front of a live audience, what are the different writing materials that we can be putting up. Yes, so you're going to learn different narratives, different styles of writing comedy, and also different ways in which you can express your thoughts to the audience. Yes, and today again, I'm going to help you with your comedy writing process. And with that, let me take you through the standout at stand up comedy, explore yourself at a comic level. So that's what we are aiming to do here. Coming up are a plethora of activities planned specially for my wonderful viewers. So let me show you the list of activities that we have curated for today's episode. Here we have the definition or an a basic understanding of what stand-up comedy is all about. Then we are going to also see some examples. There are going to be essentials that we will understand as to what are the different prerequisites in writing comedy. And then there are pro tips, some expert tips and tricks as well. And of course, with all of these segments, we have also really made it a point to have fun segments planned into today's episode as well, so that we have learning along with a lot of fun, right? So we can see a lot of fun segments on the screen here. There's quiz time, identify the comedian, decipher the EDM, right? And for people who are listening to me live for the first time, let me tell you, EDMs are phrases which have hidden meanings, and people will not be able to understand you until and unless they know the meaning of that idiom, right? So this is really an impressive way of putting across your thoughts and opinions to your audience, and we're going to learn two new idioms for today as well. And let me also give a shout out here to Kanchi Kakkar and Rokyo Choral Resolution. That's some kind of uh, group, I think, in watching me here in today's live. And I don't think that's in English. That is some other language. Pardon me. I'm not sure what language that is. But yes, thanks a lot for those likes. And you're really welcome to today's episode. Let's journey together and understand different aspects to comedy, right? So here is the first segment that I'm going to take you through. The name of the segment is Guess the Character, and I'm going to show you some interesting movie or cartoon characters, and you need to guess the name of these characters, right? It's going to be really easy because we all love these characters that I'm going to show to you. And here is the first character that's going to come up on the screen, right? So brace yourselves. There it is, our very beloved. What's the name of this character? Quickly in the chat box, if you can mention the name of the character. I can see hellos in the chat box here. My chat box here has really turned colorful with all of those emojis. Thanks a lot for the overwhelming support and for all the good words that you write to me, the kind words that you put out here for me. And we are waiting for some answers to the cartoon character. Kalyani gives me the correct answer. That is right. It is, of course, Simba. Yes. So let's move ahead to the second one now. There it is. Okay, we all know this character from our fairy tales, and which has also been adapted into movies, right? So, who is this character who had a magic lamp? Yes, Aladdin. That is correct again. Thanks a lot for that answer there. And with that, let's move ahead to the third one. This is the last one that I'm going to show. Okay, a girl who turned into a warrior for her father. Yes, we all know this particular character, isn't it? Shashikala gives me the previous answer, Aladdin, and that's correct. Okay, we have Abdul Ansari also say Aladdin, and that is correct again. Prisha, thanks again for that answer. Ard says Mulan, and that is correct. Yes. So that is the character that we are seeing on the screen right now. A little girl who turned warrior to help save her father. Yes. Now, thanks again for all of these answers. And with that, let me move ahead to the next segment. It is what is stand up comedy, right? So, as we all know, stand up comedy is a performance where a comedian performs live in front of an audience. And when we say live, we definitely understand that there is a lot in what the comedian delivers in front of the audience, right? So he or she, they need to be really focusing on the interaction that they are going to have with the audience there. Yes. And also, it's a tough nut to crack, right? So making someone laugh where the jokes are partially scripted, but again, you need to be really alert and focused as to if the joke doesn't land well with the audience, then they also need to edit that joke on the spot, right? So all of this takes in a lot of effort that the comedians put in. And let me tell you that the average stand-up comedy show, it gets 4 to 6 laughs a minute from the audience. Yes. So you're definitely going to get to know whether the audience loved your act or not by their reaction. Yes. So that's what a stand up comedy performance is. And let me tell you more about the subtopic that we have chosen for today. And this subtopic is called improv comedy, right? So, improv comedy is sometimes also called improvisational comedy, which means that you're going to improve on a topic that is given on the spot, right? So, it is a theatrical art form where improvisers, they perform without a script. And many improvised comedy performances, they begin with a simple premise, and often via the premise is often given by the audience, or it is suggested by the audience, and then the comedian or the actors, they riff on that suggestion, listening closely to one another and allowing the scenes to spontaneously develop in real time. So just think about it, how much talent does a person want to have when they actually are performing right there on front in front of a live audience, and they do not have a script with them, right? So the topic as well is suggested by the audience, and then maybe these improvisers are a group of people on the stage, and they then take cues from each other and try performing on the stage without little or no help of a predetermined script, right? So that's what an improv comedy is all about. You have to basically depend on your funny side, you have to depend on your funny bone and be confident that you will definitely have a lot of connection with the audience, right? So one is confidence here, the other one is delivery, and also having a funny bone is one prerequisite for becoming an improviser or becoming an improvisational comedy expert, right? So um, these are some of the things that improvisers will do to gain attention from the public, right? And now that we know what improv comedy is all about, let me get going further to our into our episode and give you a better understanding with examples and with different expert tips and tricks how you can be writing improv comedy for yourself, and maybe how you can understand if you have to do this real time, then what are the different points that you keep in mind. Yes. So now that we know what the subtopic for the day is, let's quickly get going to the next segment. And this is one icebreaker question that we have for the day. It says, what is your favorite country? Okay, so quickly in the chat box, mention your favorite country to me. I would, I'm a bit patriotic here, and I would definitely name my own country, India. Yes, my favorite country. What about you? Go ahead and write down your answers in the chat box. Which is your favorite country? Okay, so I'm going to wait for a couple of minutes for some answers here. Kanchi Kakkar, thanks a lot for that like there. Okay, Arv also says India. Okay, and then Dafia tells me UAE. Okay, that's lovely to know. India comes up there again. Okay, I think we are all partial towards our own country, isn't it? And Shashikala is not naming a country, but she has gone a little bit ahead and she is naming a city, which is Bangalore. Okay, and thanks for that answer there, Shashikala. Namma Bangalore, right? Okay, so all of us really having that connect with our own state, with our own country, isn't it? I totally get that. And with that question there, let's move ahead to the next segment. And this is all about the essentials, right? So let's establish some of the essentials in writing improv comedy. Shashikala says India there, right? Thanks again for that. And yes, so we are back on track now. I'm going to discuss some of the essentials while writing improv comedy. So there are 5 definite rules in every improv comedy. Let me bring that out onto the screen. So the first one is don't go into denial mode. Second one, don't ask open ended questions while you are up on the stage. When you're performing along with one of your partners for improv comedy, then do not ask open ended questions. Yes. Now, you don't have to be always funny. Also, you can look good if you make your partner look good, right? So, both of you doing this act, you have to walk hand in hand, and both of you need to take care of the others, right? And also, the last but not the least at all is tell a story. So, these are the 5 definite elements that we need to keep in mind while we write an improv comedy. So, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go uh, into the depth of each one of these pointers here so that I give a better understanding here to my audiences. The first one that we have is don't deny, right? So, what it means is that when you go into denial mode, then that is one of the number one reasons why a scene can go bad. Yes, anytime you refuse an offer which is made by your partner who is performing the scene along with you, you almost instantly come to a grinding halt, right? So if I am not taking the cue from my partner and I go into denial mode and I try and contradict whatever they are saying, then my scene there comes to a grinding halt because then there's no place to go, right? So, for an example, if I say player A, suppose there are 2 players who are performing this improv comedy, and player A says, "Hi, my name is Jim. Welcome to my store." And player B, instead of taking that as a cue and going ahead with their joke, if they go into denial mode and if they say, "This isn't a store, it's an airplane," then what happens? Then you have just there broken the cue that you got from your partner, right? You do not take that offer and you went into denial mode, and that's how that scene um, instantly goes bad, right? You're not Jim, you're an aeroplane. Yes, so that's how they go into denial mode, deny whatever the first player has said, did not take the cue for going further ahead with that joke, and instead what they have done is the scene has gone all awry, right? So that's how you should never be going into denial mode if you're doing improv comedy with one of your co-colleagues or one of your partners, right? That's the first essential rule that you need to remember and need to apply. Now, let's also show you one example here for this first rule that we learned. So when player one says, honey, I can't find our baby anywhere. So these 2 people that we are talking about here are couples, right? And one of them says that they can't find their baby anywhere. And player two says, what? I just saw him rolling up under the sheets and sleeping in the cot. Player one again goes, You mean you saw a lump of clothes and diapers sleeping? Yes. So what did they do? They did not deny, right? The example is the correct version of what you should be doing. So player one understood where this whole scene is moving ahead. They took that cue from player two and made a joke out of it, right? So that's how you understand that you need to take that cue and do not go into denial mode, right? So that was the first rule that we understand here. Now, let's quickly move ahead to the second rule that we are going to establish, which is never ask open ended questions, right? So, open ended questions are questions which do not have a yes or a no answer. They do not have a limitful answer. Open ended would mean when you ask a question who are you, right? Now what happens, it is a scene killer because it forces your partner to stop whatever they are doing and come up with an answer to that, right? Instead, if you have a closed ended question, it works in your favor while you're doing improv comedy, right? And when you ask your partner one of the open-ended questions, then what you have done is you have shifted the burden that you had on your shoulders to them, and now you are wanting them to come up with something interesting, right? So that's how you never ask open-ended questions. Now again, for this rule, I'm going to show you an example, and this is the correct way of doing it. So player one says, acting like he now the player one is actually performing like as if he's swirling a sword, and player two says, so how many mosquitoes are gone down so far? Have gone down so far? Player one says, none. I think the technique isn't working properly. I must use the gun instead. Player two, try using both your hands against them the way I use on your face. See? Now they took the cue again, and instead of saying something which was or asking a question which was open ended, what they did, they asked how many mosquitoes are down so far, right? So maybe player one can come up with a number, um, or they can say none, right? They cannot answer in passages, isn't it? Because it is a closed ended question, right? So that's how we understand that while we do an improv comedy with a co partner, we do not ever ask open ended questions, because while doing that, what we are trying to do is shift the burden to the other person, and now the ball is on their court and they now have to come up with something interesting to please the audience. Yes. So that's again a rule that we need to follow. And with that, I also want to know from my audiences if they are having an understanding of all of this. And you can give me a thumbs up or some kind of a message in the chat box, which with which I am convinced that you're all clear. Yes. So okay, so I have a couple of thumbs ups come up there. Great. And with that, let me now move ahead to rule number three. Yes. So the rule number three is you do not have to be always funny. I understand that you're doing improv comedy, but still, the hidden riddle of improv is that the harder you try to be funny, the more funny the harder actually you try not to be funny, the more funnier your scene is going to be. Yes. And why is that? Why is that so? Because it's the very best kind of improv when you can do an interesting scene, but not necessarily a funny one, right? So when you do an interesting scene, a very surprising thing happens, and that is the funny comes out all by itself. Yes. So you might want to try doing that. And again, for this, let me show you an example here. So you definitely need to surprise your audiences. You since you are doing improv comedy, don't keep thinking how funny you can be. You can always try and be interesting, and funny will always creep in there automatically, right? So example here again, two persons doing this improv act. Player one says, I went to Alaska last week. Player two, yeah, I know, it's beautiful, I have been there. When? Why didn't you tell me? I just got a new calendar and it has 12 gorgeous pictures of the place, pretty much letting you breathe by the picture. Yes. So what happened here? They have actually not been to Alaska, but they are talking about the calendar, which has 12 gorgeous pictures of the place, right? So that's how they did not think of being funny here. They just said an interesting fact and it automatically turned to be funny, right? So that's again rule number three here. And now we move ahead to the next one, which is you can look good only if you make your partner look good. Yes. Now, this is really self explanatory. When you are in a scene, the better you make your partner look, the better the scene is going to be. And as a direct result, the better you are going to look, right? So, do not look down upon your partner ever while you're doing something on the stage. Don't mock them. All too often, we see players enter a scene and they can just tell that they have some really great idea about the character they are going to play or a particular idea that they want to do. That is always wonderful. But your partner probably has absolutely no idea of what is cooking up in your mind, right? So they do not know how to react. That's why no matter how brilliant your idea might be, it's practically worthless if the scene as a whole goes bad. Yes. So always take your partner along with you in the scene and do not look down upon them. Do not mock them. You can always look good if your partner looks good, right? So it is always a team effort, and that we need to understand earlier on while we are doing improv comedy, right? Now, as an example, here we have another joke come up for you. Uh, One of them is trying to be a magician. Abracadabra, look, I just turned a rabbit into a coat. And then player two says, oh, so technically you're wearing a rabbit, but still looking like an old English man. Yes. So that's how you look good if you make your partner look good with you, along with you. Keep them and take them along with you, right? Now, with all of these rules, there is the last one that I want to bring out here, but of course it is never the least. Tell a story, right? So we have always seen, not only in comedy, even while we teach PlanetSpark children about writing their own speeches and delivering them in front of an audience, we tell them that a personal narrative is really a crucial element that you need to add. Now, why is a personal narrative important, or maybe a story kind of a narrative where there are a sequence of events and your audience is all ears. They focus well when you tell them a story, and storytelling is probably the easiest rule to remember but the hardest one to do. Yes. So have a personal narrative where you talk about your own experience, give it a telltale format so that your audience really understands that better. And the real magic of improv is when we see the players taking totally random suggestions from the audience and somehow making it work, right? So if all of these unrelated elements are going to come together, then it's really going to take an interesting course, like as if in a story. And just what the players are going to try and do is tell us all a story, right? So this is one of the rules which is which really works well. Whenever you tell something in a story format, then audiences understand that better. They are all ears because everyone wants to listen to a story. And the it is even more better if you add some kind of a personal narrative to your story, right? A personal experience that you can share with your audience, right? So these were all of the essentials that we need to keep in mind while we write improv comedy. And with that, let me now move ahead to our next segment, which is the synonymous word. And the word is riddle. Yes. So, riddle would mean a mystery or a puzzle, of course. And you might want to jot that down. Let's move ahead to our quiz time now. Prachi, hello there. Thanks a lot for joining the live. And I can see a lot of new viewers to my live here. And let me again bring this about to you that we are doing the stand up comedy vertical these days. And today's subtopic is all about improv comedy. So, how we can be taking up improvisational comedy is the subtopic for the day. And let us now play a quiz time. The first question that we have here is, how many stars are there in the American flag? So, if you have learned your GK lessons well, you're going to give me quick answers to this one. Number of stars in the American flag. That's the question that we have here. Okay. So I get 50 as the answer, and that is correct. Yes. So thanks a lot for that, Prisha, for that answer there. Varun, you are right. Let's move ahead to the next question. What do you call a type of a shape that has five sides? So, five sides, what is that shape called? When we have four sides, it's called a square. Similarly, five sides, what is it called? Ravish, or I think Sri Lakshmi behind this handle, she says 6 stars, but that's not correct. There are 50 stars in the American flag. Okay, and Pentagon is right. Star Winch gives me that answer there. And Sri Lakshmi also gives me that answer. Kudos to you both. That is the correct answer. Pentagon, it is five sides. And moving ahead, so those were the two questions we had in our quiz time. Lovely playing those two questions with all of my viewers for today. And let's now move ahead to our next segment, which is expert tips on establishing the essentials. The first expert tip that we have for all of our viewers is that whenever we see people who start improvising, they think that they need to create a story or some kind of a character which is like crazy, and maybe situations which are weird to make them look funny, right? But in reality, let me tell you that comedy comes from the truth, and it doesn't need flashing lights or fancy fog machines. Yes, so the same is true when it comes to certain work and life situations, right? So like we told you in one of the rules there, that you just have to make it look interesting, and the funny will follow by itself. Similarly, we do when we are doing some improvisational comedy, we do not want to have crazy moments or weirdo situations, right? We just have to think about the truth or maybe some personal experience, and it is going to sound funny by itself, right? Now, that was the first expert tip. And also the second expert tip here is that improv is always a team sport, and we need to think and care of all of our co-partners, the people who are performing on the stage along with us. So if you want a successful improv scene, then you have to have a connect with the other player and focus on your relationship with them. Yes, so your camaraderie or the banter that you have, the silly banter that you're going to do along with them on the stage, all of that is going to show to the audiences. Yes, so have a good relationship, a good rapport with the other co players that perform improv comedy along with you. That is the second expert tip here, right? And with this, let's move ahead to the next segment, which is decipher the idiom. Right now, decipher the idiom. The first idiom that we have here is I don't know whether to laugh or to cry. Now, what that means is that when one feels really happy yet has some sad emotions at the same time, then they do not really know how to express it, right? So that's the hidden meaning behind that idiom. I don't know whether to laugh or to cry. Now, let's look at an example statement which will make it even clearer. So when we sold our house, I didn't know whether to laugh or to cry. So it's a mix of emotions, and they are happy as well as sad at the same time. So you can use this idiom to express your emotions appropriately, and that's how you do that. Yes. So I don't know whether to laugh or to cry when you have mixed emotions, right? That was the first decipher the idiom for the day. And before we move ahead, we have another segment come up here, which is the fun part, right? So here are some puzzling questions for you. Again, put on your thinking caps and give me some answers, correct answers in the chat box. Right here is the first one. Can February march? That's the first question. Can February march? It is a trick question. The way that I said that, the modulation that I used, in the same way you can answer it. Think about it. All my students who have learned voice modulation, think about this and give me the answer to this question. Can February march? A trick question. Waiting for some amusing answers in the question in the comment box here. And can't find any answers coming up. There is a question mark there. So maybe let me reveal the answer to you. No, but April, May. Yes. So see how there is a word play there, but at the same time, it makes total sense, isn't it? Yes, I get a smiley there. Wow. So, okay, now let's move ahead to this next one. This is the last one for the puzzling part. And the question is again, it is a pun or a word play that is the answer here. So, think on those lines. Why does Humpty Dumpty love autumn? Pooja Piyush, thanks a lot for that like there. And you need to think with a lot of wit here. There's a wordplay involved in that answer. Why does Humpty Dumpty love autumn? We all know the rhyme, isn't it? Humpty Dumpty. That is correct. That's the correct answer. Thanks a lot for that, R. And the answer is because Humpty Dumpty had a great fall, right? So that's why they love autumn. Autumn and fall, the wordplay. Yes. Thanks again for all of those smileys coming my way. But that is correct again, Dafia. Yes, you were right. So I might want to rephrase that to because Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Yes. So with that, let's move ahead to another decipher the idiom for today. And the idiom that we see right now on the screen is to laugh up one's sleeve. So, what does that mean? When I say to laugh up one's sleeve, it means that you laugh secretly with the intention of hiding one's laughter, right? Or maybe also when I say that it is something which is not laughing material at all. So, you are not actually feeling like laughing, then also you can be using this particular idiom to laugh up one's sleeve, right? That's the meaning here. And let me show you one of the example statements. I couldn't help but laugh up my sleeve when she told that horrible joke, right? So that's how you can be using this idiom to express your thoughts beautifully and jot all of these idioms down in one place so that you form a ready reckoner of sorts, and then you can always go back, look into all of these idioms and try using them wherever appropriate, right? Now with those idioms there too for today, let's move ahead to the next segment. I'm going to show you a picture and you need to guess this famous comedian, right? He is one of the famous comedians we have here in India and in the Bollywood film industry. And really humorous with all the antics that he does. His facial expressions are really apt. Yes, Johnny Lever it is, of course. We all have laughed with the jokes that Johnny Lever has performed, right? Johnny Lever, sir. Yes, that's correct. Thanks again for that answer there. A wonderful comedian. Okay, all correct answers. Thanks for that. And let's move ahead to some other expert tips and tricks. The first one coming your way. So, to see two characters reminisce about their history or to talk about future plans is really going to be boring for your audiences, right? Now, when we are doing improv, I told you that it's a team effort. So maybe there are two or more people who are there together on the stage performing in front of a live audience, right? Now, during that session there, if they talk about their future plans or keep reminiscing about the past, right, and try recollecting all the old memories, then your audience is really not going to be interested in all of their talks, right? So we want to see them act, isn't it? So exactly the same way like in life, we are the characters in the life that we lead. So too often we are caught up in what happened a little while ago or what we should be planning for our future, and what we do is we completely ignore the present, right? Similarly in improv comedy as well, we need to focus on the now, and we need to start taking control of the stage from that very moment, right? So do not talk about the past or your future plans. Think about how you can act and make your people in the audience laugh in the present, right? So that's the first expert tip here. And now the second expert tip is that as an improviser, one of the most important qualities that you have to reveal as your character is your motivation, right? So why are you doing whatever you're doing on the stage? This question is equally valuable in your everyday life as well. Yes. So think of what is the motivational factor that's making you do this, and then have that passion in you in performing improvisational comedy, right? So go ahead with your passion, and you're definitely going to find success in whatever you do, right? Similarly, apply that same logic in improv comedy as well, and motivate yourself. Be passionate about what you're performing, with whatever is the act that you're performing, and trust yourself and your abilities, right? So these are some expert tips that we had. And with that, let us now move ahead to one of our last fun segments for the day, which is locate the words, right? Now, here I show you a letter maze, and you need to find out all the hidden words in the letter maze. And let me tell you that these could be written horizontally. Let me show you the letter maze first. And the words could be written horizontally, vertically, or even diagonally, right? So all of the words are from today's episode. And quickly in the chat box, if you can mention the words that you can find in this letter maze, right? The first one that I get here is riddle. That is correct. Mangesh, thanks a lot for that answer. Okay. What are the other words that we can find? Riddle was the on in the first row, starting from left. Okay, so I have got some comments here. Star Winch says funny, that is right. Okay, and Sri Lakshmi also gives me the answer funny, and also riddle. That's the correct answer. Sri Lakshmi, thanks a lot for that. Wonderful job. Riddle and funny are the two answers that have been deciphered in the chat box here. What else? Okay, we get focus. That's correct again. And one more to go. Can any of you find the other word? There is focus as well. That is correct, Pranch. Thanks a lot for that. And the last word. Okay, so let me reveal the answers here one by one. There is the last word that you all could not guess. It is deny, right? So one of the rules that we learned: do not ever deny, right? When the part, do not go into denial mode to what your partner is talking about. Yes, so deny is one of the words, and then we have focus. We also have funny, and the last word, which is riddle, right? So with that, we come to the end of our episode for today. Deny is correct. Star Winch, thanks a lot for that answer. And yes, for now, we move to the segment which is named At a Glance. So quickly, let us round up whatever we learned in today's episode. Here it is. We learned all the essentials or the rules that we need to follow while we write improv comedy. So we do not ever go into denial mode. We never ask open-ended questions. We don't always have to be funny. Sometimes we can say the truth, or we can say some interesting facts, and that itself makes the whole scene funnier, right? Now, the next rule is that improv comedy is always about team effort. So you need to hold the hands of your partner who is performing with you and take them along with you, right? And see to it that both of you together perform the act in a way that the audiences understand, right? So you look good only if you make your partner look good. That is essentially one of the crucial elements that we need to really understand. And also, telling the joke in a telltale format or in a story kind of a format will make it more interesting for our audiences. Yes. So these are all of the essentials that we learned in today's episode for writing improv comedy. And now for the project work, I would definitely encourage each one of you to again go through this particular video and try recollecting all the rules that we learned in today's improv comedy episode. And you can also draft your very first improv comedy script, right? And try performing that in front of your near and dear ones. And for starts, you can also try performing in front of the mirror. Yes. So this is one project work that I would definitely encourage each of my young guns here to be doing. Yes. And for tomorrow, I will be back again with another interesting episode of improv comedy. This is going to be day 2. We will have different examples, different scenarios, and again, I'll try and make you understand how you can be writing your own script and with the way of some examples. Yes. So, tomorrow as well, I will be coming live at 6 p.m. India time. I am Sapna Mahadevan signing out for today. Do stay happy and take good care of yourselves. Yes. Bye bye.